Ladies and gentlemen, my name is
Scott.
Hey, yo. Is that his younger brother? It's gonna be
Jeff.
The cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
And you're listening to
all of the great action figures from our good friends at Hasbro.
the Fully Poseable
Have your own WrestleMania with all your favorite figures.
Wrestling Figure
Each sold separately from LJN.
Podcast.
And we are the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
Hey, welcome to episode 208 of the Fully Poseable Wrestling Figure Podcast, the longest running episodic wrestling figure podcast, going today for nearly 4 years, a revolutionary force in wrestling figure podcast entertainment. My name is Jeff. Sitting alongside next to me is my real life brother, not storyline brother, Scott. Scott, say hello.
Hello.
That was all improv. Where'd that just come from?
It's like that moment in Old School where Will Ferrell gives that answer, and it's horrible, but you did it so well. Well done. I'm sitting here in awe. Yeah, have your moment. You'd be like, I don't know where that came from. That was incredible.
Scott, I am glad to see you are feeling better.
Well, dude, I mean, like, not to bore everybody with being sick, but man, third time since Thanksgiving, sick again. Like, this time it was the flu. I'm like, okay, is that my master of puppets of being sick in 2019, 2020? Because I am over it, dude. Like, I am done being sick. Like, this time was the flu, so it was kind of like way worse than the other two. It was the top of the charts in speaking of being sick, and I'm just so over it. Over it. I'm done being sick. I'm on the road to recovery. I am feeling mostly better today, but man, this winter hit me hard, dude.
Your immune system is as bad as Lana and Lashley's storyline.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to use that line, but you came up with it, so I'm very happy that you did. Yes, my immune system is as bad as that storyline.
I'll tell you what, though. Your immune system is way more entertaining than that storyline.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel like my immune system is the preacher or the minister getting tackled at ringside. And the security staff of WWE is illness. It's taken me down.
Were you popping a temp too?
Yeah, actually, I was between 101 and 100 on a Saturday night. It was funny. I woke up at about 3 a.m. on Saturday. Now, keep in mind, I woke up Saturday afternoon at 1:30. So right off the bat, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, that's totally... I mean, I'll sleep until like 11. I love to sleep, dude. But 1:30? That's a little bit excessive. And so I woke up and I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Like, I immediately felt off. And needless to say, that day just did not go well. Was not feeling good. Flu symptoms kicked in like a mofo. Was slept pretty much all day Saturday. Woke up at about 3 a.m., what would have been, I guess, Sunday morning. And I wear a sleep mask when I sleep because we have the TV on. Shannon likes the TV on, but it causes an issue with me continually waking up, so I sleep with a sleep mask on to block out the blue light. It's science. I don't argue with it. So I'm sleeping, wake up at 3 a.m., and dude, I had drenched the sleep mask like it was soaked. I was literally pouring sweat. I had sweat on the side of my nose. I don't recall the last time I had sweat on the side of my nose, dude. Like, I was literally sweating out a fever. It was bad. Sunday, still not great. Stayed home from work yesterday, which sucked because I had just taken off like 6 days of work. And here I am calling in sick. Like, I had gone back to work Friday, called in sick Monday. Not a good look, but it's okay when you've been there for 6 years because you kind of build up a track record. But I think it's mostly cooked out of me now. I'm feeling mostly better. Drank a ton of Gatorade, ton of water, so enough boring the audience with my sickness. I'm on the road to recovery, ready to podcast with you, brother.
No, this is actually entertaining, dude. This is hilarious.
It's riveting stuff, I'm sure.
No, this is great, dude. We love hearing about this sickness.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? At my rate, I could be talking about this again in 2 weeks with as often as I've been getting sick, because it seems to be every other week is something else. So, dude, this winter has dropped me big time. So I'm hoping that's it. No more sick stories. I'm ready to be better. Gosh.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, dude. Did you drink your Pedialyte?
I did not have Pedialyte. I drank Gatorade. I drank water. And then Alana bought me this stuff called Body Armor at 7-Eleven because it was on like a 2-for deal. And it was pretty good.
Yeah, that stuff's pretty good, dude. I love that stuff.
Unfortunately, I think it had the ingredients of Bang in it, because I drank it last night with dinner, and that was probably at about 7 o'clock or so. And at 2 o'clock this morning, I was still awake.
There is no caffeine in Body Armor.
Man, okay, so what it must have been then is so much sleeping Saturday and Sunday and part of Monday that I couldn't sleep anymore. Because I was still awake at 2 o'clock this morning. Like, my mind was racing about WrestleMania and what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble and the Fig Life meetup and all these things racing through my mind, and just didn't get much sleep. But dude, again, enough about me and my boring sickness and non-sleeping. Ready to podcast.
If anybody would like to purchase any of our t-shirts, head on over to Pro Wrestling Tees or whatamaneuver.net. Also, we do have 8x10s for sale. We will autograph those up for you, and we will get those shipped out to you. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, and the Book of Faces at FullyPoseable, Instagram, FullyPoseableWF. You can go back and listen to any of our past podcasts on FullyPoseablePodcast.com. Download that Podbean app if you are on the go. Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. I want to thank Johnny for sending over those UK reviews, but Scott, we are moving over to Australian reviews. And this gentleman I'd like to thank Alex Williams for sending these over. It means a lot that you did this. Scott, are you ready for Australian reviews?
Yes.
Don't you pull an Ed Bell from our Friendsgiving episode?
That was a callback to Friendsgiving. That was for you.
Okay, that was actually pretty good.
Yes, I can't wait. Bring them.
Scott, this first one comes in from Lee, 1984, MCFC. Listening from Australia, gave us sweet 5 stars. Been a big fan for the little while now, and while I didn't notice how much they say each other's names, I did have to enter rehab for taking a shot every time they say paint pen. He said, I kid. Scott and Jeff show love for the Fig Life community and keep everyone in touch and make it easy for us to connect. Adult collectors are not the easiest to connect with, especially down under. So for me, all the people I've met as a result of listening makes it way more fun. Keep up the great work, and thanks for the hours of entertainment. Thank you very much, Lee, for sending that over. We are happy that the Fig Life community is helping you out in any way. Sorry to your liver for saying paint pen or dude.
Yeah, at least it wasn't dude this time.
Also, we're thanking everybody over in Australia. We're all thinking of you guys. So
absolutely. Hope you guys are safe.
You can send us any audio questions, or anything else at all to fullyposeablewfp@gmail.com. Scott, the Royal Rumble entry went so well for the men's and the women's that I had to open up another men's and another women's Royal Rumble entry.
Wow. That one's sold out fast.
So we have 4 pools going. We got 2 men's, 2 women's. All are filled up now. We're not going to be doing any more. I have to cut it off. I apologize to anybody that did not get in, but I have to cut it off. So what Celeste and I are going to do is we are going to be doing a randomizer. So we are going to be assigning everyone a number. So keep an eye out on our Twitter for what number you have received. We'll be doing that here shortly. When the show drops, I will be coming back from Colorado, so I won't have time to do it this week, but we will be doing it early next week. So keep your eyes out. I did mention that we are going to announce the giveaways for the men's and a giveaway for the women. So for the men's, there will be a Don Morocco Survivor Series Elite.
Ooh.
Plus goodies. Now, I did want to say this, that when I did receive my shipment from where I received the Moroccos, the cards did come in damaged. So, prefacing this now, the card is damaged. I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm being upfront. It is damaged. For the women's, you will be receiving a Kairi Sane Elite, where she's got the white jacket on, the hat. You guys will be receiving that. For the second men's and the second women's Rumble pool, I have not gone through yet and figured out what we are going to give away. So just stay tuned. But for the first men's, it will be Morocco and goodies. And for the second, it will be Kairi Sane and goodies.
Dude, that's some great prizes right there. I'm liking it. So you went with the Morocco and Kairi Sane instead of cutting my sweaty sleep mask in half and giving one to each winner. I like your idea better, honestly.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrench out your sweaty sleep mask.
Oh, okay.
So that way that the listeners get some of your game use sweat.
Oh, excellent. I like that. That's the goodies part of the prize.
Correct. So I will drop a bit of sweat onto a towel, and that will be your part of your goodies.
Perfect.
Just be lucky I was going with sweat on that.
Yeah. That's enough said about bodily fluids, I would imagine.
Scott, did you do any toy spotting?
I did, and came up empty-handed, unfortunately. Big Lots here in Tracy and Walmart. I will say, the Masters of the Universe line, at least the first wave, seems to be very popular. Our Walmart is out of the rings that came with the Triple H and John Cena figures. They are also down to one Sting figure left on the pegs. And as I mentioned on last week's show, when Alana FaceTimed me from Walmart, the pegs were full of the Masters of the Universe figures. I went there a couple nights ago. All they had left was one Sting. So even at the price point, which I believe is like $15.88 at Walmart, those things are moving. And that is very, very promising for that line so far. Again, on our prediction show that we had 2 shows ago, I kind of thought that was going to be a 2020 and done. But if you guys keep buying those figures the way that you are, that could extend into 2021. So it's kind of a wait and see, but so far so good for that line. But I have nothing else to report from either spot that I toy spotted at, unfortunately.
So I don't know if you remember this story, but when we had Mom and Dad on, I told the story with Mom where after the Giants lost National League Championship Series in 1987 to the Cardinals, do you remember what I did right after they got the final out?
Cried in your room?
Almost.
Snuck hot dogs in there and hid them under your bed?
Do you want to tell that story?
Well, I guess I have to now. So it's not dirty. Don't think that Jeff was like a weird kid. So when Jeff was very small, Jeff loved hot dogs. There weren't food groups to Jeff. Hot dogs were the group. Like, he ate nothing but hot dogs. He would eat them warmed up. He would eat them cold right out of the package. He loved them so much that he would take packages of hot dogs out of the fridge, take them up to his room, rip open the package, eat a couple of hot dogs cold, and then put the package underneath his bed. He was good at this, and I think he was eating them so quickly that they never really had a chance to turn. Unfortunately, one time, I think Jeff maybe forgot about a package of hot dogs underneath his bed, and my mom walks in one day to put away clothes or something, and it smelled like somebody died or something died in Jeff's room. She walks in, she's like, "Oh man, what is that?" And so now Mom gets to play that fun game that everybody loves, find that smell. And she's going around the entire room, and she goes underneath the bed. Luckily didn't find Jeff's huge bag of porn under there, but instead found Jeff's uneaten bag of hot dogs that must have been in there for at least a week or two, given the horrid smell that was in your room. And she had to throw them out. You got a talking to about, Jeff, we don't take hot dogs out of the fridge and hide them underneath our bed. Nobody's going to eat your hot dogs. You don't have to worry. We aren't a bunch of savages in this town. So that was the joke about hot dogs underneath Jeff's bed.
Yeah, I used to hide everything underneath my bed. In fact, I hid one of our brother's paychecks under there.
No, his cash. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he had cashed out his paycheck, but I had taken the cash and hid it under the bed, which is funny too, because Kevin was freaking out. He's all, "Where's my money?" And my mom's like, okay, let's just calm down. It's probably underneath Jeff's bed. Sure enough, it was underneath my bed. But the best part was, I have a fear of heights, like a phobia of heights. It's kind of subsided as I've gotten older. But when I was a kid, I had a fear of heights, which is funny because my parents live in a tri-level house. So Kevin picked me up by my underoos and my t-shirt and held me at the top of the stairs. He's all, "I'm going to chuck you." Our mom goes, "You need to put him down now because he has a fear of heights." And I am like screaming at the top of my lungs, like bloody murder. Like the neighbors are like freaking out, ready to call 911, dude. So Kevin put me down, but yeah, I hid like, what was it, $300 underneath?
No, it was like $600, dude. He was pissed.
Oh, $600.
Yeah, it was like, I think he had quit. And so they had to cash out his last checks or something like that. and he had like $600, and you took it and put it under your bed, probably next to the hot dogs.
Funny stories to reminisce about. I want to go back to the Cardinals and the Giants National League Championship Series. After the Giants had made the final out, I went upstairs and was kind of moping in my room, but the first thing I did is I kind of took solace in wrestling figures. I picked up the LJNs and I started wrestling with them. I told the story when Mom and Dad were on, but Mom came upstairs and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Yeah, just upset, blah, blah, blah." Anyways, I took solace in the wrestling figures, and Mom even picked up a few wrestling figures, and she was kind of holding them. She wasn't wrestling with them, but she was still kind of holding them and just kind of embracing them and stuff. Anyways, fast forward to now, 33 years later, the Bills are playing the wild card game against the Texans on Saturday. Bills-Texans go into overtime. Texans win. I got so mad, dude, that I went straight into my back room where I had that hashtag fig mess going on.
Yes.
And cleaned the room, dude. I grabbed a bunch of totes and just started cleaning. I basically wiped out that room except for all my autographs, which is over in a corner. So I'm going to be redoing that room, but that room is going to become a media room. Podcast room, video room. I'm going to completely redo it, but all the figures are still going to be up on the wall. But the funny thing was I took solace in cleaning up my hashtag fig mess right there, dude. And the figures kind of brought me back down, like after being angry and all, worked up and frustrated and everything. Figures did it to me again 33 years later.
Oh, good for you, man. Yeah, I wanted to say sorry about the Bills. I was kind of following it on my phone a little bit. Obviously, Saturday was the day I came down sick. Didn't watch any of the football games, but I was kind of watching it on my phone a little bit. I saw that they lost in overtime. That's soul-crushing, dude. But hey, like you said, the silver lining to that dark cloud is that now your back room is media ready. So now it's going to be your podcast room. So I guess that good came out of it.
Yep, it's going to be a podcast room. I will be having video cameras set up in there. I will be having desks set up in there. It's going to become a media room with all the figures set up around me. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Dude, you could put a little fridge back there filled with hot dogs.
No, I got to put those under the bed, dude.
Those don't go in the fridge, silly.
Oh, yeah. Those go under the bed, dude. Let them spoil under there.
Now we can play Find That Smell. Yay.
I do have to say also Sunday I went out. I had to run some errands. Went to Livermore Walmart. They had a damaged Roderick Strong, I should say, Elite 72. They had a damaged one there. They also had a damaged box Becky Lynch Elite 72. Went to Walmart in Pleasanton. They didn't have anything. Went to Target in Dublin. They didn't have anything. I do have to say, though, our Pop Finder number jumped because those new Royal Rumble figures just came out.
Yes.
Everybody knows about them. They've all seen them online. Our Target, or my Alameda Target, numbers jumped. So right after work, I went down there. Tim had been there earlier in the day. A chair shot had already been there earlier in the day, and he said that they weren't out there. I head down after work. They still weren't out on the pegs. I was like, darn it. I go get my haircut. I come home, and now we're pushing about 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I was thinking, too, I was like, man, I should head back down there because I bet you those figures are put out. And I was like, no, I'm not going to head down there. I'm going to try to get some sleep. I still got to pack for Colorado and all that stuff. Sure enough, first thing this morning, guess what number dropped?
Oh, man.
Yep. Anyways.
But, silver lining.
Silver lining is Tim, the good soul he is, was able to pick me up Macho and Lita. So I do have Macho and Lita coming to me. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
Tim comes through again, man. And it's funny. It seems like we've got the good brother, Mike, on the East Coast. And we've got Tim out here on the West Coast. It's like the tag team champions of the Fig Life. Like these guys are just coming through for everybody left and right. And your efforts definitely do not go unnoticed. So a huge thank you to both of you.
Tim also travels around the Bay Area, which, oh man, God bless him with that traffic. But Tim also travels around the Bay Area. So he's able to hit up all these Targets and Walmarts and stuff like that. And so he's always telling me, he's like, hey, Jeff, your number at Alameda jumped, but nothing's on the pegs. That's how I got Liv and Sonia Target exclusives.
Oh, nice. Right on.
Anyways, I want to thank Tim. As I said, I did get a Kairi Sane figure in. I ordered one for myself and then one for the giveaway. That would have actually topped my top 10. I had gotten it back before the calendar flipped.
So she's going to go into your 2020 pool.
She, as of right now, is going into the 2020 pool.
Excellent. So it's her versus Liger for number 1, huh?
Oh, Liger wins.
I agree.
Liger wins, dude, hands down. Scott, we do have a little bit of news. What do you say we jump into it?
Let's talk about it.
Oh, you gonna learn today.
Scott, in the news this week, Storm Collectibles released another Liger where he will be in all black with some gold trim. Looks amazing. I want this thing so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the price point. I actually prefer the traditional Liger figure. That's my preference personally. I think that the one in all black looks fantastic. He comes with 2 different color capes, the assortment of hands, everything you'd expect from Storm Collectibles. But I'm happy with the traditional Liger. But if you are a huge Liger fan, this figure is a must. You need it to complete your collection, especially given that he just retired. And hey, let's not give up the kudos on Storm Collectibles. Let's heap them on Storm Collectibles for striking that iron while it was hot, having the newly retired Jushin Liger figure available for sale right now.
I can't wait to get the first one. I'm hoping we get that here shortly because that's part of your Christmas gift. But at the same time, dude, this thing is beautiful. It's an RSC exclusive, so...
If there's not too much wallet heat, we are post-holidays.
True. I still got Disneyland coming up. By the way, are you doing the LAX show?
As of right now, I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
think that it's in my budget to do it, especially given Tampa right around the corner. So I'm fairly certain, I'm like 95% sure I'm not going. There's going to have to be a name that comes out that I'm like, all right, I've got to go.
Okay, because I'm still thinking about going. I can get a flight down there and a flight home that same day and just use my points from Southwest. So that would save $150 right there because the flights are hella dirt cheap right now.
Well, man, but then you're having to transport your figures and you're going to have to do that again at WrestleMania.
Yeah, but dude, I went down to Burbank to pick up wrestling figures. You don't think that's nothing new. That's old hat to me, dude. Playing with figures,
true.
going across. Dude, I went to New York this past year with 2 suitcases full of wrestling figures.
Man, you've got that smuggling experience. Good for you.
Thanks. Scott, Eagle Moss. Oh, wait, are you promoting them now?
No, that would be at the end of the show, so feel free.
Actually, why don't you go ahead and promote them?
You got it. So Eagle Moss is coming out with its first 2-pack in their WWE statue line. These are going to be 1/16 scale, and it will be HBK and The Undertaker from their match at WrestleMania 25. So HBK will be in his traditional pre-match pose where he's kind of crouched down and he's doing the most muscular flex. He will not have his shirt on. He'll just have his tights on that he was wearing during the match. And Undertaker will be in kind of a threatening choke slam pose. And this will be a 2-pack in their traditional packaging with the full window front. Looks awesome.
They did an excellent job on these.
Yeah, they look great.
The Finn Balor, I believe, is still my favorite, but the realism on these 2 figures, I was like, whoa, that kind of blew me away.
Yeah, agree. And if you are collecting the Eagle Moss statues, you'll definitely want to add these to the collection for sure.
And Scott, and what the biggest news was this past week, and hopefully nothing breaks between now and Sunday, Good Humor. Who are they, Scott?
They would be ice cream, Jeff.
Good Humor is making WWF Ice Cream Cookies. Yes, it is WWF Ice Cream Cookies. It's not really a bar. There's no stick. There's no chocolate backing. It's basically a cookie with ice cream in the middle. They will be coming out soon. Hopefully they will be hitting Walmart shelves.
I believe Walmart does carry Good Humor, yes.
So does 7-Eleven, so we may be seeing them there as well. But dude, how cool is this? We're getting WWF ice cream bars.
This is the biggest news of 2020. Yes, we're only a week or 2 into 2020. Still, it's the biggest news. This is incredible. We are getting the old-fashioned... Now, these are going to be square instead of the... What would that be, like an oval shaped that the WWF ice cream bars used to be? These are going to be, as you mentioned, Jeff, it's more of a cookie, where it's cookie on top and bottom, whereas the WWF ice cream bars were cookie on top, vanilla in the middle, and then your chocolate bottom, and you had the stick to make it a popsicle or an ice cream bar. This is going to be a cookie top and a cookie bottom with ice cream in the middle. It will be vanilla. Apparently, they do have a NASCAR line in Good Humor, and they have chocolate ice cream in the middle. This will be more in line with the traditional WWF ice cream bars in that the top cookie will have a wrestler imprinted on it. And so far, it looks like Becky Lynch, John Cena, Macho Man, and Roman Reigns. So, this is incredible news. It's not your WWF ice cream bar that you grew up with, but I think it's a strong throwback or a strong callback to what those WWF ice cream bars were. I personally am going to buy 10 boxes when they come out, and I'm going to spend the entire weekend in my room watching Network, preferably all Saturday Night's main events, going into WrestleManias 1 through whatever I can make it through. It's going to be an incredible weekend, dude. This is a celebration. We've been clamoring for WWF ice cream bars since the late 2000s when they got discontinued. And while it's not 100% what we had growing up, it's as close as I think to what we're going to get moving forward. I'll take it all day. They look delicious. I cannot wait to get my first box of these. Now, they will come single, as you mentioned, Jeff. They'll be available at 7-Eleven. You can buy them singly, and you'll be able to get them in a 4-pack at Walmart, and I'm sure most retail locations very soon. This is a great day, dude. When I heard this news, when I saw it on Facebook earlier, lost my stuff. I was so excited, and I know it's not 100% what that WWF ice cream bar was, but even if it tastes a fraction of as good as that ice cream bar, I'll be a happy camper.
That's going to be like a cheat meal every 2 or 3 months for me, not 10 boxes watching Network one day.
Quitter. Celebrate with me, brother.
This is awesome, dude. I can't wait to try these. Hopefully they're as good as the first ones. The originals were just so good. Like the cookie, the ice cream, the chocolate, just it was perfect. And these I don't see being any different, minus the chocolate. Just 2 cookies, ice cream, imprinted with wrestlers on it. Glorious day. Amazing.
It's not very often that you're given a piece of your childhood back. And Good Humor is doing that. And kudos to Good Humor for finally hearing the wrestling fans that wanted their ice cream. They're giving it to us. 2020 could not start off any better. Well, at least in terms of wrestling figure and wrestling ice cream news.
Scott, we do have a listener segment that we need to get into. What do you say we jump into it?
Let's talk about it.
And I just want to hear from my people. Tell me, can I hear from my people? I just want to hear from my people. And I just want to listen to the listeners.
Scott, our first email comes in from Ryan Sirrah. Ryan is a gentleman that I've hung out with a couple of times out in Chicago during All In and All Out. We love seeing Ryan and his wife over there. Ryan sent in an email. He said, "Hey guys, how's it going? I was hoping if you could help us out with something. My son just got chosen as the star in an upcoming charity campaign to help with our house. Basically, it is a 3-month fundraising effort to help make the house more handicap accessible for my son. It caps off with a huge gala at the end. In an effort to maximize the efforts, I was hoping you could share the info with your network. My wife and I are already doing the same. She is on Twitter at GavinsMommy0704. I was also wondering if you had anything wrestling related to donate for a silent auction. I am trying to put together a wrestling package since many of my friends and family will be there. If I am asking a lot, I apologize. You're not, Ryan. Trust me. I probably am, but we only get one shot at this. Please let me know if you have any questions. www.oneforthekidsorg/event/2020-curve-ball/. Thank you so much, Ryan. That link again, one more time, is www.oneforthekidsorg/event/2020-curve-ball/ and we will also be tweeting this out. So if you guys can, if you have any questions, also you can hit up Ryan on Twitter at heel, HEEL _ Cerny, CERNEY. So guys, if you have anything to donate, send it on over to Ryan. We will be checking our bins. We'll probably be donating as well for his wrestling package. So please, we want you guys to help Ryan out. Ryan's such a great guy. His smile brightens up a room. Anything you guys can donate will make that smile even bigger. So guys, hit him up at heel _ Cerny. Also, as I said, we'll also be tweeting out the link. Ryan, we are happy to do this for you. You're not asking too much at all from us, man. So we're more than happy to do it for you.
The Fig Life steps up in multiple ways. If you guys can help, please do so. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Ryan, I'm going to be messaging you when I get back from Colorado. We want to help out any way we can as well. Thank you again, Ryan. Scott, next question comes in from Christopher Dean. Hello, boys. How are you? Happy New Year. We're doing good, Christopher. Thank you.
Happy New Year to you, Christopher.
I got a long question for you. We've seen a proliferation of wrestling leagues the last couple of years with MLW, NWA, Power, AEW along the stalwarts Impact, NJPW, Ring of Honor, and WWE. Don't you use big words at me, Christopher, like wrestling?
And AEW? Come on!
It seems to bear out that there's only an infinite amount of fans watching wrestling, and ratings and interest don't seem to support all the leagues. I heard you guys talking last week about a new wrestling figure company coming to the forefront this year. Is a good thing, but is it? I like we can get a Penta, but I worry, will there be enough of fig collectors to spur these lines past a couple series? If AEW hit the market with figures, would hardcore fans be enough to justify a company making them? Do these new lines have wrestlers with enough notoriety to propel a line to success? Thanks for all you guys do, and I can't wait what the new year has to offer, you and your podcast. Oh, Scott, I have to agree that Ruby came ahead of Macho Fig for me too. Oh!
Ouch.
Number seven.
Ouch, Christopher. That hurts. My heart.
He said I have Macho at number 5. Remember with me, I don't look at figures in a nostalgic light. The detail on Ruby was outstanding. Take care. Sorry about the steel chair, Scott.
No, you're not. That hurt, Christopher. My heart. Not my back, my heart.
Like Monica on Friends. 7.
Ugh. Ugh. No, dude, 7 was... It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And you call yourself a broadcast journalist.
I am a broadcast journalist.
Not with Macho at 7, you're not.
Scott, is there enough interest to handle another wrestling figure company coming to the forefront as far as for figures?
You know, it's funny, and I'll equate this over to wrestling itself. The more you have conversations with wrestling fans, the more you start to have the same conversation. It's, man, I love wrestling, but there's so much of it, and I don't have time to watch it all. You've heard this before, right? Every wrestling fan you talk to practically says the same exact thing. Where it's going to differ with the product, that being specifically wrestling figures, I think the more players you have, the better. Because you as a fan, much like when you're watching it, when you're buying the product, you can dictate how much you're taking in. It all goes back to the wallet heat conversations that we have, and the really cool wallet heat shirt that you can buy on whatamaneuver.net. Did you like the way I segued into merch there? That was not bad. It was almost like Don West, like he channeled me, right? Like Don West just came through. Next up, I have a Scottie Pippen head bust. Buy it.
Mike Schmidt ball cap.
Scott's sweaty sleep mask. So you can equate it to wrestling in that there may be too much, but with wrestling figures, much like when you're watching the product, you can dictate how much product you're going to buy. It's going to be up to us collectors which lines succeed and move forward and which lines don't. And then, on the flip side of that, it's going to be up to the manufacturers what they provide us to buy and what they don't. Let's point the finger at Super 7 right now. You guys gave us a bad-looking Andre the Giant figure, but we made our voices heard, and now you're retooling that figure to where you might sell more of it. Good on Super 7. Super 7 is giving us NJPW figures, but right now they're playing coy on if there's going to be a ring or not. We as collectors need to buy their figures if we want to see that ring made. So one hand is going to kind of shake the other, and I'm going to go back to it. I think more players in the game for wrestling figures is a win for us as wrestling figure collectors. And with that said, Mattel is definitely leading the charge. They're at the forefront with their swords out, full blaze ahead, issuing out a ton of great product. They're the big players in this, and you've got everybody else kind of in their wake. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad place to be, because you're hitting this humongous wrestling market. And while there are only a certain number of fans watching, there's, I think, a smaller number of fans actually collecting the product. So we all have wants, we all have wish lists, And what I love about this is now more of those wish list check marks can be made on your list with more players in the game, FTC, Super 7, Boss Fight. It's a good place to be in, and I don't think that the manufacturers, the new players in the game, are going to be hurt by riding in that wake of Mattel. You're giving fans an alternative to the Mattel product, which is a good thing, because now they can get figures of NJPW and Luchas and Indies and ROH. That's a great thing. So it's going to be up to us if lines move forward. To Chris's point about, are they going to have enough product to offer? That's up to us. If we continue to pump money into their brand, they're going to continue to give us product. If that product turns stale, or if that product is not to our liking, money stops being pumped in, and maybe they'll go by the wayside. I don't want to see that happen. Absolutely not. But I think really the onus is put on us as collectors, that if you like a specific line, i.e. Super 7, Boss Fight, FTC, if you like a specific one, pump your money into it. And that's not to say don't continue to give your money to Mattel. We know what Mattel brings to the table. They've had the license now for a decade. They've proven what they are and what they can bring us collectors. Continue to support Mattel. Absolutely. But if you like NJPW, and you like the Luchas, and you like Ring of Honor, and you like the Legends line that FTC has, throw money their way too. Make sure that everybody kind of gets a piece of this pie, because again, I think with more players in the game, it's better for us as wrestling figure collectors.
I've got nothing to add. That was perfect.
And there's my Will Ferrell moment.
Dude, that was like perfect. I'm like, okay, I could say, oh, Scott just hit that. I could say that, okay, Scott just got that.
Well, I hope that I answered Christopher's question, even though I'm still hurting in the heart area from his brutal chair shot earlier. It's not so much physical as it is spiritual.
He was doing better than me. He had him at 5. He had Macho at 5.
Yeah, I understand, but
right.
5 is like middle of the pack, dude.
It's still 5. That's better than 7.
Okay. Yes, it is. This piece of crap is better than that piece of crap.
Scott, you have to look at the bright side of life. You're always too negative over there.
I know. I'm trying to fix that. 2020, I'm trying to fix the negativity, Jeff.
Nude year, nude Scott. Let's go.
Nude squat.
That's only when you have a couple of Jaegers in you.
Very true. Christopher, thank you for the question. I hope I answered it to your satisfaction, even though, again, heart hurting. But I love when Christopher sends in questions because they really spark a lot of conversation and a lot of thought. And I know I've said it so many times. 2019 was a great time to be a figure collector. 2020 is shaping up to be even better. And I really like these new players in the game. It's keeping everything fresh. And what I like, too, is that there's a camaraderie there. It's not that these guys are trying to cut each other's throats and knock them down the stairs so that they're ascending the ladder. It's not about that. These guys are all watching what the other's doing. And I think what that's doing is creating friendly competition. And I'm hoping that it turns into a game of like one-upsmanship, right? Like Boss Fight sees what Super 7 does and they're like, oh, dude, like that's a great idea. We should try that with our next series of figures. And then they up their game in their next series and vice versa. Super 7 sees that and goes, okay, now what's our next one up? And it all goes into friendly competition. And at the end of the day, it makes us as collectors better for it.
And then Storm sees what everybody's doing and they side the Road Warriors and put out a Road Warriors 2-pack. Right, Scott? That was on my prediction list.
Or even better, they give us a Muta figure. If we got Road Warriors and Muta figures from Storm in 2020, in conjunction with this whole ice cream business we talked about in the last segment, oh man, I'm going to have to get a second job. I say it every year, but this might be the year I do it, folks. You'll see me working at 7-Eleven.
Nude Scott.
Squat.
Oh, that's right. Jaeger does some talking for you, I'll tell you.
It does.
Thank you, Christopher, for sending that in. One thing I did want to add, though, is it's kind of fun having... It's not about competition for me. It's about having more options. I'm not stuck to a WWE roster. Now I have the option to go out and get a Penta and Phoenix figure that isn't custom. I now have the option to go get New Japan figures that I've been clamoring for I don't know how long. But I now have the option to go get those. And that's what the amazing thing about this is that now I have the option to go get them. Because I've been clamoring for a Penta and Phoenix figure. I've been clamoring for an Okada figure for I don't know how long. the Jushin Thunder Liger figure. They've had those in the past through the Sirrah Pro and the Hyper Heroes, but now we get it through Storm. Oh my God, this is amazing. So that's the fun part about it is that now we're getting the figures that we have been clamoring for, and we're not stuck to the WWE roster. We're now able to go out and get the Jushin Thunder Ligers. We're now able to go out and get the New Japan. This is the fun part about this day and age. It's a fun time to be a collector, right, Scott?
It totally is. And let's just give kudos to Mattel because they're very much due. Mattel really set the bar here, right? You look at the scale of the Super 7, the Storms, the boss fights, even the FTCs to an extent, they're in that elite scale. Mattel really set that bar as to what us wrestling figure collectors expect. So kudos to Mattel for not only setting the bar in terms of scale, but setting the bar in terms of quality, because we can look at the renderings of the Super 7 figures. We can look at the Phoenix and Penta figures that Boss Fight is giving us as we have images of those. We can look at what FTC is giving us with the ROH line and what Storm has given us with the Liger figures and the Hogan figures. They are looking at Mattel as the bar, saying that is our competition. We need to be better than that. We want these collectors' dollars to come our way too. They know that we're not going to stop buying Mattels. Of course not. Mattel, as I said, they've really set the bar, and they've got so much good product, not only out on the shelves now, but coming out. Of course we're not going to stop buying Mattel. But there's more of the pie now being spread out to these new guys. Mattel is competition to an extent, but competition in a good way in that they are seeking to be as good or better than Mattel, and that's not a bad thing, again, as a collector. Look at what they're producing. I think the proof is in the pudding. Those Super 7 NJPW figures look incredible. The Penta and Phoenix figures, incredible. The Hogan, the Liger, amazing. The ROH line, the War Raiders, specifically from FTC, incredible. They're looking at Mattel as the major competition, and they're trying to beat it. As a collector, we win.
Yeah, Christopher's questions always seem to do that to us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really sparks a lot of debate and good conversation. I really enjoy when he sends in questions. He should do it every week like JT.
Thank you, Christopher, for sending that in, and send in another one. Think of something else that Scott can debate about with himself, because he basically touched on everything.
I went into business for myself. I apologize.
Thank you again, Christopher. Scott, next question comes in from Josh Thompson. Hey, Jeff and Scott, JT here, back with that weekly question. This week I wanted to ask you guys, what's a WWE superstar that you feel should have won the Royal Rumble that never has? My two choices are Daniel Bryan and Mr. Perfect. Starting off with popular choice, Daniel Bryan, I feel he should have won the 2015 Rumble, hands down. Yes, it would have been a bit too predictable, but it would have made sense, made up for the previous year's Rumble, and could have even kick-started an early Roman versus Bryan feud, starting off with the two having a final two showdown like Undertaker and Shawn had in 2007. As for Mr. Perfect, while I know he was supposed to win the 1990 Rumble, I feel he should have won the 1993 Rumble. Nothing personal, Macho Man, but Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect for the WWE Championship sounds like a dream match in itself. And surely one of the smartest members of the Heenan family, besides the Brain himself, would have thought a better way to eliminate Yokozuna than by pinfall in a Battle Royal. Yes, one of the worst endings to a Royal Rumble ever. Why did Savage pin him?
Ugh. Yeah, and you knew Savage was better than that. You're like, come on, I'm supposed to believe this?
I agree with Perfect. He should have won a Rumble. I don't know about 93. I know 93, his back was wrenched. And even though he did come back in 93 or actually was it 90? No, sorry, 92. I apologize. He did come back in late 92, but his back was still in pain. I don't think he ever recovered from that back injury that he had sustained. So he did come back in 93, though. He had a match at WrestleMania 9 against Luger. And who else did he wrestle that year? Did he wrestle at SummerSlam 93? Yeah, he faced Shawn. No. Yeah, he faced Shawn, didn't he?
Oh, you're jogging my memory too much, dude. I'd have to go back and watch. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he faced Shawn. I'll have to fact check that. Scott, who do you feel should have won the Royal Rumble? Oh, I want to throw one more out there. Razor. Razor should have won a Rumble.
Oh, see? There you go, dude. Yes, I agree with you. Razor should have won a Royal Rumble. I'm going to go with Earthquake. I think Earthquake was such a great heel. I mean, look, the guy smashed Damien. That pretty much established him as one of the most hated men in wrestling in the 80s/90s. he killed the beloved Damien. Like, you can't get much more crap heel than that, right? He squished a snake, and the snake was defenseless. He was in a bag. But with that said, I think Earthquake was such a strong heel, and they booked him so well that I think a Royal Rumble, try saying that 10 times, wow. A Royal Rumble win would have done his character, his heel character, a lot of good. Granted, a lot of it went downhill. I for whatever reason with him, I mean, he became Golga at one point. But late 80s, early 90s, I would have loved to have seen Earthquake win a Royal Rumble as a heel.
Scott, I do want to say that Shawn Michaels did face Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 93. The match between Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect began with a series of wrestling holds. The match remained primarily technical until Diesel distracted Perfect, allowing Michaels to superkick him in the face. Michaels worked on Perfect's injured back until Perfect took control of the match. After a series of attacks on Michaels, Perfect used the Perfectplex. Diesel pulled him out of the ring and threw him into the steel ring steps, however allowing Michaels to win via countout.
You didn't listen to a word I said about Earthquake, did you? You were looking up that information while I was giving a very detailed explanation of why Earthquake would have benefited from a Royal Rumble win.
I'm going to tell you what you said. I feel that Earthquake should have won a Royal Rumble. I mean, come on. He smashed Damien. I mean, he sat on him. He destroyed Damien. So that just put him like as a monster heel.
I said crap heel. See, you weren't listening. You weren't listening.
I was listening.
Nah, your argument just got derailed. You weren't listening. You were looking up that match on your phone.
Look, dude, I was 33.33% correct on that, dude. But if you take Earthquake squashing Damien as another 33 1/3 chance, that's 66 1/3 chance. And yeah, I was more than correct.
I mean, I can't argue with that math, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I give your argument to 7.
So you say Earthquake, I say Razor Ramon. Who else? Is there anybody in recent history?
Ooh, let's see. You know what? I'll go back a little bit further than Earthquake. How about Ted Arcidi?
All right, Scott, we do have a Who Did It Better.
Outback Jack?
Scott, we have a Who Did It Better segment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stuck in the current segment. I'm supposed to be moving forward now. I apologize.
Yeah, let's just move on your craptacular choices right there.
How dare you call Earthquake craptacular?
No, I didn't mean Earthquake. Ted Arcidi, Outback Jack, are you serious? Will you get out of here?
Oh, better yet. How about a manager?
Winning the Rumble?
Yes. Say mid-90s. Cornette just runs in and dumps. Say Vader's the last man in the ring. Vader would have been another great choice to win a Royal Rumble. Say Vader's the last guy in the ring, or so he thinks, but didn't know that Jim Cornette was one of the guys that was picked to be in the Rumble, and Jim Cornette comes in and dumps him. Okay, horrible idea. Vader wins. I pick Vader.
Okay, I'm glad you stopped right there because the internet would have crapped on your booking.
What? Oh, yeah, that's right. Cornette has heat. My bad.
Well, not only that, Cornette go to WrestleMania for a heavyweight title shot.
He's very entertaining, dude.
Oh, my God. We're moving on. Scott, we are going to play Who Did It Better. What do you say we jump into it?
Let's do it.
All we really want to know is who did it better. All we really want to know is who did it better.
I've got to pull back the curtain on this one. So during the break, I had received a shipment from Pro Wrestling Tees and I got some micro brawlers. And one of the micro brawlers was King Kong Bundy. And in the pose, King Kong Bundy is holding up 5, which he used to tell the referee, count to 5. So I'm showing Scott that, and Scott goes, if this was younger Jeff, he would be chewing off the fingers.
They'd be like little hot dogs, and you'd be chewing on them. Maybe that's why you ate the fingers off all the figures. They look like hot dogs.
Well said. Well said. I can't even dispute that. Scott, we are doing Who Did It Better. And what this segment is we choose one wrestler, and we break down every single figure that they have had. So, for example, we choose one guy. They had LJN, Hasbro, Old San Francisco Toy Makers, Jack's Classics, all that stuff, and so on and so forth. We will wrap all those into one, and then we will decide who did it better. And Scott, who did we choose to do better this week?
This week, we are going to grab them cakes and talk about all of the figures of the great Junkyard Dog. I'm sure we all remember, well, us old folk anyway, remember getting that original LJN JYD, he with the dog collar and the chain, and just being able to hold that figure and put him on all fours and do running headbutts across the ring, grabbing dudes, power slamming them, maybe knocking somebody in the head with the chain. Great, great memories. And I remember the Junkyard Dog very fondly, not only for the great matches he had, but also for really, really hating Jimmy Hart, and at every chance he was given, just wanting to punch the crap out of him and possibly take his pants off.
One thing I loved about the Junkyard Dog figures, or I should say the Junkyard Dog LJNs, is if you notice a lot of those Junkyard Dog LJNs, a lot of the paint was missing off the top of the head because as you just said, a lot of people were doing the headbutts.
Yep.
So if you notice a lot of those old school LJNs that kids got, ripped open the package and started playing with in the ring, a lot of them have paint missing off of the hair. And it's because I know every kid was doing that headbutt.
Yeah, so it's missing off the boots, the tops of the boots. You'll see little scuffs on his fists, and you'll see paint loss on the head because those kids were dragging him across the ring doing that little crawly headbutt that JYD used to do. But dude, you completely missed my thing about taking off Jimmy Hart's pants. Did we have this conversation on this podcast where that was like a thing in the 80s? Like managers always got undressed by the wrestlers in the ring. It was the weirdest thing. They were always losing their pants or their shirts or something. It was crazy.
Well, it also rolled over into the 90s when Finkel faced, Harvey Whippleman?
Oh, in the tuxedo match?
Yes.
That was the thing back then. We wanted to see managers lose their clothes, and I don't know why.
Nude Scott.
No, there we go. All right, well, without any more of this garbage between us, Jeff, let's get into all of the great JYD figures that we've been blessed with over the years. First up, of course, as discussed, the original LJN JYD figure, and he came with a silver or red chain. There was a variant in there. We also, from LJN, got a bendy figure of the JYD, a thumb wrestler of JYD, which, for some inexplicable reason, had red trunks instead of red tights, and they also made JYD in their stretch figure line, which was very, very similar to Stretch Armstrong. Next up, we did not get a JYD figure until the Classic Superstar series in Jakks. We got two of them, one in Series 4, and he was in white tights in that one. Again, we got him in Series 26, and he was in his red tights. Next up, we got Unmatched Fury Series 10, and he was in his red tights on that one. Next, we got Elite 33 from Mattel, and he was in white tights on that one. Then we got the muscle figures from San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago. And finally, we got Retro Series 10 JYD, and he was in his white tights.
So many memories with JYD, dude. I loved watching his matches. He was so entertaining. This is even before I knew that he used to wrestle down south. When I went back and I watched a lot of those old school, oh man, which organization was he wrestling for, Scott?
Mid-South.
But thank you. When he was wrestling with Mid-South, I don't know why I just drew a blank on Mid-South.
It happens.
I didn't realize how big he was.
King of the South, dude. King of the South. Hands down.
Dude, he was getting Hogan pops down in the South. The other thing I want to know is what photo shots was LJN using when they put him in trunks? And this is my homework to the internets. Please provide a picture, if you guys have one out there, if there is one floating out in the interwebs. Is there a photo shot of JYD in trunks that maybe LJN used to make the thumb wrestler?
Yeah, that's a good one because we know they could do pants because they did it on the Iron Sheik. So it's kind of baffling to why Junkyard Dog was in trunks when his bendy and his regular form LJN figure were both in tights. It's really, really strange, but this worked with that Hogan Storm Collectibles, Jeff. Let's see if it works with the JYD thumb wrestler.
There was a big omission not having JYD figures between the LJNs and the Jakks Classic. It just seemed like there should have been a JYD figure somewhere in there. He was with WCW for a cup of coffee. I was hoping that maybe he would sneak into a line there, possibly. I forget what years he was there. Was it 92, 93, Scott?
No, I think it was earlier than that. I want to say it was in like 89, 90, 91, somewhere in there. And so it would have really been on Galoob.
Oh, so he could have snuck into the Galoob line.
He could have, yes. I'm really surprised that there was never a prototype of Dog. You figure being the fan favorite that he was, even in WCW, and he was towards the end of his career, that he definitely would have warranted a figure because Dog figures moved. Junkyard Dog was super popular late 80s, early 90s, all through the 80s, really, into the early 90s and up until the day he retired. And his figures always moved. Kids loved the Junkyard Dog, and it's a shame that Galoob never did a figure of him.
Scott, now is the time in this segment that I ask you, who did it better between LJN, Jax, and Mattel?
You know, I've really got to go with Elite 33 on this one, and I know a lot of people were guessing me to say the LJN. And as much as I love that LJN, the Elite 33 is just so strong. It's got the chain. I think it best captures that Junkyard Dog look. And that's from me wanting to pick a figure. I look at the Unmatched Furies maybe a little more as like collector statues. So I'm kind of torn. I love the Unmatched Fury because I think it captures Dog so well. It gets him in that mid kind of pre-match celebratory where he's like barking at the moon kind of. I really, really like that Unmatched Fury, and I really like the Elite 33, but I think I'm going to give the edge to Elite 33, but only by the smallest of margins.
I am going to go with the Unmatched Fury, Scott. I think the Unmatched Fury is just seeing him in that pose, like you said, where he's barking at the moon. It brings back so many memories. I could have gone back with the LJN, and I wanted to, and everything inside me was saying, say LJN, because you had so many memories and playing with that figure. Dog was always booked on your card.
Yep.
But capturing Dog in that one pose where he's barking at the moon just brought even more memories back. So I have to go with that Unmatched Fury.
I love it. And if JT's question was, name me a guy that should have won a secondary strap in the WWF in the mid to late 80s, be it the tag team or the Intercontinental title, and without hesitation, I would have said Junkyard Dog. I feel that he would have made the perfect Intercontinental champion because to me, the Junkyard Dog was always at the top of that mid-card level. Like you never really thought he was going to be heavyweight champion, but you knew that he was good enough to at least be a mid-tier champion to either hold a tag team title or the Intercontinental title. My preference would have been the Intercontinental title. I would have loved to have seen him beat Randy Savage. Yes, I'm a huge Steamboat fan. If Junkyard beats Macho, we never get that WrestleMania 3 match with Steamboat and Savage. But as a kid, I loved the Junkyard Dog, and I always wanted him to hold some sort of title, and it's a damn shame that he never did it in WWF. But I'm really glad that you brought up Mid-South, Jeff, because if you want to see JYD's finest work, go back and watch Mid-South. That dude was literally the king of the South. He sold out crowds everywhere in Mid-South. And I believe he sold out the Superdome, if I'm not mistaken, several times as they held big cards.
Silverdome, brother.
Thank you. They had big cards there in the mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s, and Junkyard Dog sold those out. That dude was the king of the South. Definitely in his run in WWF was big enough to warrant holding at the very least a mid-card title, and it's a damn shame that he never did. But if you want to know how popular the Junkyard Dog was, look at Mid-South's trajectory after he left. When he left, they plummeted pretty quick. They were done within 2 years of him leaving. In fact, they had, shortly after he left to being the UWF and not the Mid-South anymore, he put a huge dent in that promotion when he left, and that speaks volumes about the crowds that Junkyard Dog drew. With all that said, I'm going to give a very short edge to Elite 33. It's such a fantastic figure, but a very, very honorable mention and kind of a 1-in-1A situation to that Unmatched Fury, Jeff. I don't argue your pick on Unmatched Fury at all. It is such a great addition to the Unmatched Fury line and captures the Junkyard Dog in such an iconic moment in his kind of pre-match celebration, and it's a great figure.
One thing I loved about the LJN, thinking back to when I used to play with figures, is not only could you do the headbutt with Dog,
yes,
but you could also do the power slam because his arms
perfect.
were out and you could do that power slam. And it came with the chain, and he would walk down to the ring, and the chain was a plastic, so the chain was just kind of swaying as I was moving him down the aisle. And I think back to that, and I remember him always being booked on my shows, whether it was a battle royal, whether it was a big match. I still remember the night that we went to our very first show, Scott, in 1986, and Junkyard Dog faced Macho Man. And I remember going home that night and having the match of Macho Man versus JYD. Now, granted, I didn't spit because when we went and saw that match at the Oakland Coliseum, pre-match was Macho and JYD spitting at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's gross.
like Scott always said, it turned into a Gallagher show. All the people in the front row just dodging phlegm and everything coming out.
Throwing their tarps up.
I hope nobody had a sinus infection. Holy crap. But,
oh, gosh.
But
good little pink eye.
But I remember using Dog all the time, and so many memories doing the headbutt, doing the power slam. Usually his matches were pretty quick. I would have him team up with Hillbilly Jim for some reason.
Really? That was your tag team?
I would team them up every once in a while. Maybe they would have to take on Sheik and Volkov because the Bulldogs were facing Beefcake and Valentine. So I would have Hillbilly Jim and JYD face Sheik and Volkov. The way I would pair them up was always weird as a kid, but it's still fun to think about. Scott, that rounds out the talk of JYD on who did it better. Friday, April 3rd, 4 to 6 p.m., it's the Fig Life Meetup 3. Come one, come all. We want everybody there. Keep messaging us. Let us know how many people you're bringing. But we want to flood the Tampa Wing House with everyone. So if you guys are coming, hit us up. We want to adjust the count to as many as we are assuming that are going to be there. There will be prizes. There will be giveaways. There will be great times had by all. If you guys got a story to tell us from WrestleCon earlier in the day, tell that, have brews, but we also want you guys to have a good time. That's what it's all about to us.
And Jeff, it's going to be your birthday that day.
Yes, I will be showing up in a walker.
Okay, good. Little tennis balls on the bottom, help you move a little bit faster.
I will be showing up in a minivan because they're easier to get in and out of. Again, Friday, April 3rd, 4 to 6 p.m. It's going to be right after WrestleCon, right before SmackDown. Come on over. Let's have some wings. Let's have a great time. Let's shoot the stuff. Let's talk about autographs. Let's talk about wrestling. Let's talk about wrestling figures.
Paint pens?
Paint pens, yes. We'll be slanging paint everywhere.
Yeah, that'll be paint. Not whiskey.
Yes. If you guys don't drink, you'll be doing shots of Pedialyte with me. Hydration is important.
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Coach.
So, anyways, 4 to 6 p.m. Friday, April 3rd, Tampa Stadium Wing House Fig Life Meetup 3. Bigger, what was the catchphrase for WrestleMania 3? Bigger, badder, better, or something like that?
Bigger, better, badder.
Also, WrestlingToyTracker.com provides the prices for Hasbros, LJNs, Galoobs, Retros. If you guys are in the market to start collecting those, hit up WrestlingToyTracker.com. See if you are getting a fair value on any of those lines. I need to talk to Ryan. I want to see if he's going to be doing anything else.
Well, I mean, he could. He's been really successful so far with the ones that he chose. And, he could move into Jack's, specifically Classic Superstars or Deluxe Classic Superstars, even Unmatched Furies. He can start kind of taking out the subcategories of Jack's because there were so many during their existence. But yeah, I'm betting Jack's would be the next one he'd jump into, unless he wants to go Mattel like Defining Moments or Entrance Greats. Could go that direction too.
Yeah, I want to talk to him. Ryan over at @toy_tracker. It's kind of like Beckett, an online Beckett. And Beckett back in the day used to provide prices for baseball cards. Well, this is kind of like an online one for Galoobs, LJNs, Retros, and Hasbros. So if you are going to start your collection, hit up WrestlingToyTracker.com. Scott, Eagle Moss.
Yes, Eagle Moss. Give them a follow on Twitter at HeroCollector_. They've got the WWE license along with many other pop culture licenses. So if you have a pop culture or WWE fan in your life and you need to get them a gift, check out Eagle Moss on Twitter at HeroCollector_. Right now, they've got their WWE statues. As mentioned earlier in the news, they're offering a 1/16 scale Undertaker and HBK from WrestleMania 25 2-pack that's going to be in the same type of packaging with the clear window front, but this is going to be a 2-pack as opposed to the single pack that is their common format. Again, if you have a pop culture or a WWE fan in your life and you need to get them a gift, you've got to check out Eagle Moss on Twitter at HeroCollector_. Check out their site. You can subscribe to their statue service with WWE. If you subscribe to their WWE statue line, they will send you the ring to display them in. Definitely go give them a look again on Twitter at HeroCollector_.
Scott, JYD was also on the cover of one of the Coliseum home videos too.
Oh, but that doesn't qualify as having a figure.
No, I just thought I'd throw out Coliseum home video just because I loved Coliseum home video.
You know what my favorite part about Coliseum home video was, and I'm sure you'll be able to guess it?
The music.
Oh, the music. I loved that intro music on those videos. Like, it would play, and this is back in the days of VCR, like you weren't fast forwarding anything. I would let that music play for as long as possible because you knew what followed. You get to have 2 hours, an hour and a half of non-stop wrestling. It was either going to be Mean Gene or Gorilla hosting it, and it was going to be fantastic. And that music was the prelude to an hour and a half to 2 hours of fun.
Yes. I remember Mom and Dad buying pizza and then taking us over to that little video store in the corner of the Greenhouse Market, and then we'd be scouring to see what new Coliseum home videos just came in, grabbing the tape, walking up, they'd fill it, driving home, got a pizza, got Coliseum home video, and just that 2-mile drive felt like forever because we were all excited to dive into the pizza and watch wrestling.
Yeah, mostly to watch wrestling. And it was always weird when we went to that video store. They had like that beaded area, like, and it said 21 and over, and they had like beads hanging in front of it. Dad always disappeared back there. I was like, what's going on? Do they have a buffet here or something? Like, what is that section?
Dad's all, you guys look at the wrestling. I'm going to go over here behind the beads.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going on back there. Seemed like a good time though.
It seemed like there were a lot of dads back there.
You're right. Maybe that's where the dads hung out while the kids looked at the wrestling videos.
Absolutely. And before I get into the podcast, buddies, just one more time, I do want to promote Ryan Cierney at Heel, HEEL _Cierney, CERNEY. If you can help them out, oneforthekids.org /event/2020-curve-ball / Scott, podcasting buddies, throw it back to Breaker and Bane, two wonderful gentlemen with a great podcast over there on Breaker and Bane's Power Hour. Check them out on iTunes, Breaker and Bane's Power Hour. They talk about toys, they talk about wrestling, they talk about pop culture, anything in the news that they want to talk about. They have a WTF story that's always fun. Go check them out over at Breaker and Bane's Power Hour. Also, Breaker does have a side project going on, just like someone on this podcast does.
Who, me?
The WWE Mark podcast, WWE Mark Drunk Wrestling podcast.
I see you're not over it yet.
Okada.
Mm-hmm.
Go check out Breaker's side project. He's doing Back to the Nintendo, where him and his tag team partner Brett do a show on old school Nintendo games. They actually played the old school Nintendo games on that show as well. So Back to the Nintendo on iTunes. Eric and Barry, two great gentlemen as well, doing a show on wrestling figs and merch, and they also did a watch-along.
What did they watch?
It is actually sitting in my podcast that I am going to be listening to on my way to Denver, so that I will have an answer for you next week.
Nice. Okay, yeah, dude, Barry's knowledge with wrestling, like if there was Wrestling Jeopardy, Barry would be the all-time winningest player on Wrestling Jeopardy. Like, the dude's knowledge is insane.
No, basically, Barry would be hosting it.
Oh, good call.
The person would give the answer, and Barry would be able to say yes or no.
Yeah, and if you're wrong, he would shame you. No, he wouldn't. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But the dude's knowledge is off the charts.
If you were right, he would give you a slushie. If you were wrong, he would shame you.
Right, he would, like, throw a Twinkie into your mouth, like he was a Benihana chef.
He would throw chocodiles at you.
Oh, man. Now I want to play this game. I want to play Snack Cake Jeopardy with wrestling.
Snacky cake?
Yes, Snacky Cake.
Sorry, it turned into Baby Yoda. Need some chicken
Of course
nuggets.
it did. You love Baby Yoda.
I do. I'm obsessed with that little creature. Oh, dude, I was ready I was ready to fight those bounty hunters that punched him.
Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Stop it.
Oh, wait, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, dude, let me tell you about it.
No, how about you don't? I haven't even seen Rise of Skywalker yet. I am way behind. Way behind.
That one I don't know about. I want you guys to check out Eric and Barry over at Doing the Favor with their wonderful podcast. Speaking of wonderful podcasts, check out Steve over at the PPW podcast. No show this week. They haven't done one since the Royal Rumble 90. That was fun. I'm calling Steve out again for liking a Ronnie Garvin match. He's getting called out again on that one. Just because.
You know what's funny? You mentioned Ronnie Garvin last week, and here you are demeaning Steve again because he enjoys Ronnie Garvin. I had forgotten that Ronnie Garvin in mid-88 had a heel turn. I had completely forgotten this, so I was being sick, watching and binging WWE Network, and I came across a Great American Bash from Greensboro in 1988. So this would have been around July. And Ronnie Garvin was in the ring, and Gary Hart was in his corner. I'm like, wait a second. What? Why is Ronnie Garvin so close to Jimmy Hart or Gary Hart, and he's not like knocking him out? And then they announced his opponent as Italian Stallion, and I'm like, wait a second. So this is face versus face, but why is Gary Hart there? And then the ring announcer did a thing where he's like, and Ronnie Garvin would like to remind the audience that he is a former heavyweight champion. I'm like, oh, he turned heel. I had completely forgotten about it, but I thought that was a great gimmick running where he was reminding the crowd that he was a former heavyweight champion. And it had only been like 6 months since he had lost it.
Man, I do not remember that at all. One thing I do remember is there was one episode of Saturday Night, and Baby Doll was in the corner, or was with Dusty at the time. The last match of the show, after 2 hours, was Warlord. They just introduced Warlord. And and he's a heel. And in the corner of Warlord was Baby Doll.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, she was just a face with Dusty, and now she's in the corner with this heel Warlord. What is going on?
Yeah, so confusing.
Dude, I was like 36, 37 years old when I rewatched that, and I was like, this still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, my mind is blown. But here's why I don't remember Ronnie Garvin turning heel in 88. That's because there was only one meaningful heel turn in 1988, and that was when Barry Windham broke my heart and turned on Lex Luger and let Arn and Tully win the tag team championships. Soul crushing, dude.
Remember when you cried about that?
I did not cry about it. No, I didn't.
You hella cried.
Okay, will you stop? You know I didn't cry. Now you're lying to our audience. Shame on you, sir.
Anyways, back to Steve liking Ronnie Garvin, his favorite wrestler of all time. Check out Steve over at the Positively Pro Wrestling podcast. And there you will hear Steve rave about Ronnie Garvin because he loves him over there. Scott's laughing.
You're too much, dude. Stop picking on Ronnie Garvin. He might be listening.
Steve's gonna shake his fist at me in Tampa.
Yeah.
And then punch me with hands of stone.
Good.
Also, check out Marty and Sirrah with Marty and Sirrah Love Wrestling, where each week they welcome in their wacky waving inflatable buddies. Just kidding. They're not wacky. They're not waving. They're not inflatable.
Oh, I was hoping they were inflatable. I'm like, this is incredible.
but do check out Marty and Sirrah Love Wrestling. And Scott, are you ready for your Okada mission? I'm ready for this.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be good, dude. So I'm wondering because look, the benefit of having a drunk podcast is you really don't have to have omission, because your get out of jail free card is, dude, I was hammered. Like, I'm not going to say that that's why we didn't talk about Okada, but when you said the WWE Mark podcast, you're kind of right. But you need to remember that is the area of expertise of my fellow podcasting buddies on that show. It's very WWE heavy. It's not very much ROH. And even going back to older wrestling, it's not WCW, NWA, AWA, WCCW, and even Mid-South. It's none of that. It's very WWE heavy. So we kind of stick to the material that's known. So don't think of Okada as, we're going to slap Jeff in the face by not mentioning his favorite wrestler, who he refers to weirdly as God. It was not intended to be a slap in your face, nor are we going to do an omission show where we apologize for not including Okada in our decade of review.
In my head, I just heard you say that you are going to do an omission show on Okada. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm glad we could come through for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, the dude's 32 years old and is already a legend. I mean, come on. Greatest decade of a wrestler ever.
I'll wait for you to be done. Let me know. Give me some sort of hand signal when you're done, and we'll move forward.
So, Scott, what's on the docket for this Friday or actually, I should say this past Friday for Drunk Wrestling History?
To be perfectly honest, I have no idea. And that's the beauty of the show. We recorded like 4 or 5 episodes. There was special breaking news that happened about a certain someone in WWE last week, or week before last, that we did a very short episode on. And right now, I know that we have the Decade in Review up and available, which is I believe our Master of Puppets, because it's like 2 hours long. I don't know what our next episode is going to be. I'm going to guess WrestleMania 3, but I don't know for certain. Rest assured, wrestling fans, that I do mention Billy Jack Haynes throwing up on Hercules' back. I don't overlook the details, folks. That is mentioned. I think it's going to be WrestleMania 3, but I don't know for certain. Give us a follow on Twitter at wrestling_drunk, where we're not always accurate, but we're always drunk.
I love that tagline. It works.
Thank you.
Scott, roll call.
Roll call this week, of course, starts out with our incredible artist, who should be your incredible artist, the great Jason Wolf. Give him a follow on Twitter at JasonWLF. If you need artwork of any type, hit up Jason. He's your guy, and tell him Fully Poseable sent you. Next up, Pollyanna DIY. Give him a follow, because if you need enamel pins, specifically Ric Flair winning the 1992 Royal Rumble pin, if you need that in your life, give Pollyanna a follow on Twitter at Pollyanna. That is with 2 N's, DIY. And Jeff, I want to throw it out this week to the figure customizers out there. These people do incredible work, and I want to give them some recognition. First up, at Unboxed Alliance on Twitter. Give him a follow. Does incredible work. Next up, at Kyle Customs. That's Customs with a K, 2018. Next up, the great Asui88 on Twitter at Asui. That's ASSUI 88. And last but certainly not least, the great Scribble24. Give him a follow on Twitter at Scribble. That's SKRIBBEL24. And Jeff, that rounds out roll call.
Scott, good job on the roll call. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
What you doing this weekend?
This weekend, more recovery. Just pumping the body with vitamin C, drinking my fluids, saying my prayers, eating my vitamins. Oh, and believe in Hulkamania. That's what I'm doing this weekend. Probably watching a lot of network too. And waiting for the ice cream bars. And toy spotting. Let's not forget toy spotting.
Yes, I'm going to be doing toy spotting. I'm actually, by the time this show drops, I'll be either at 5280s or I have gone to 5280s, and you guys will see the pictures that I post on the grams of Insta and the Twitter machine. So, Scott, for episode 208, anything else?
Brother, have a safe trip to Colorado, Fig Life since 2016, and happy toy hunting.
Thank you very much. That rounds out episode 208. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hashtag Fig Life. Adios.
Yeah. Fully poseable. Let's go. Jeff and Scott, the Toon Brothers, busting out the ring, but we don't take it out the box. MOC. Happy toy hunting. We'll see you next week with the OGs of WFP. Fully poseable. Thank you all for listening. It ain't no storyline, real life siblings. So everybody go and do your toy spotting. Hashtag Fig Life. Adios from the Kings.